Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of our series, and this is regarding the concept of travel in Islam for the sake of knowledge. So there's an Islamic tradition of journeying to seek knowledge. Why does Islam place so much emphasis on travel for the sake of knowledge?
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Brother Tariq. Again, this is another episode we're doing about our journeys, our travels to Al-Andalus and to Turkey, and what we learn here and what we teach here. When Muslims join us from around the world, what are we trying to achieve? And in that light, your question is very relevant. Why are we even traveling? And what is the place of traveling for knowledge in Islam? First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very clearly states in the Quran, for us Muslims it's very important. A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim. Siru fil ard. Fanzuru kayfa kana aqibatul mukaddibin. Okay, go in the land and see the remains of those who came before you, and some of them denied Allah.
Exactly.
Okay,
yes.
So take lessons basically, right? And even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he emphasized this point that the one who seeks knowledge in the path of Allah, even the fish in the sea prays for him, right? So we, from the very start of our journeys, from the airport, as soon as we board the bus, we tell the Muslims to purify their intentions. They are here not only for a holiday, but also to learn in the path of Allah, to seek knowledge, to learn from the past, to take lessons, and to better fix our future.
Yeah.
So this is why it is so important to learn, to specifically travel to learn, what we call a rihla.
Yes.
This concept in Islam is called rihla. We have plenty of examples. There's an example in the Quran.
Yes.
Musa alayhi salam traveling, specifically traveling to Khadr alayhi salam to seek knowledge, to learn from him. And then we have examples from the lives of the Sahaba. Okay, there are other prophets who travel for the same reason. Like we have Sahaba who travel for, one Sahabi traveled for 1 month from Medina to Damascus to receive one hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So today traveling is a lot easier than it was then.
Yes.
So that's why I encourage Muslims to travel, to seek knowledge. It brings a lot of light to the mind.
100%, and you'll know better than me that this concept of traveling for the sake of knowledge is a unique Islamic Muslim concept.
Absolutely.
I haven't come across any other civilization that had this concept. If you look at ancient civilizations, there may be the odd occasion where somebody left and they became a scholar or something like that. But generally there was no tradition, no culture where somebody left one place to go to another place specifically for the sake of knowledge.
Interesting.
And we Muslims, if you look at our history, I think it started from when the Muslims went searching for hadith.
Yes.
The danger of losing...
Seeking knowledge. Specifically, yes.
And then when they went traveling, seeking for... Because the Sahabi didn't just remain in Mecca and Medina, they went all over the world.
In fact, Brother Tariq, if a scholar had not traveled to seek knowledge, that scholar wasn't even taken seriously. Every single major scholar in the first, the second, and the third centuries of Islam had to travel to seek knowledge. You had to have met a number of scholars who had a great name at their time. So that's why you see Imam Bukhari, Imam Ahmad al-Hanbal, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa, and all the other muhaddithin traveling
exactly.
to seek knowledge. This is why they were taken seriously. And later on, Brother Tariq, we have a tradition of Muslim travelers going out to explore the world.
Exactly.
We have Ibn Battuta, very famous, well-known example.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that very quickly.
So I was going to say that you've already referred to it, mentioned it, but who were the great travelers in Islamic history and what inspired them?
As I mentioned, starting from the Anbiya, from the scholars, from the prophets, and then we go down to the Sahaba, they traveled. Okay. If we go down into the details, we're going to be here all day,
yes,
as you know,
course.
right?
Yeah.
But to mention very briefly, there were Sahaba, and then there were scholars in the first, second, and third centuries of Islam. Then we had travelers specifically exploring the land. Okay, Ibn Battuta, for example. We have Ibn Jubair, who traveled from Al-Andalus for Hajj, and on the way he saw so many things, and he describes those wonderful things he saw. Then we have Ibn Hawqal, who was also a traveler and geographer. Okay, he explained a lot of geography to us of the lands. Then we have Ibn Fadlan, the famous case of him meeting with the Vikings and describing
yes.
them.
Yeah.
And there's a movie made, Hollywood made a movie about it, the 13th Warrior.
Warrior, yeah.
Okay, so
With
all of these.
Antonio Banderas, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He starred in it. So, although the movie is very fantasized, it's very dramatized, it's not necessarily
But
historic.
it reflects reality, that how advanced the Muslims were and how backward the Western Vikings and that world
Absolutely,
was. And like,
absolutely.
you know,
And it's a very correct depiction
yes,
of the reality
yeah.
at the
So
time.
they couldn't even read and write, and they were like, you know.
No, quite late. Even after the Vikings, this situation remained in Europe until knowledge from Al-Andalus and Sicily, Muslim Sicily,
Exactly.
came to these lands. So this is very clear. Yeah.
One of the other things I want to touch up on is that exactly you're right, that the Muslim Sahabi, etc., they traveled, they went around, but what they came across was also ancient knowledge as well.
Yes.
And they found Persian knowledge, Greek knowledge, Roman knowledge, and Muslims have never had a problem accepting that, yes, we got this from here, we got this from the Romans, we got this from the Persians, we got this from the Indians, etc. They've never had a problem with that. And they absorbed all that knowledge. So it started off looking for hadith, etc., but then having gone to all these other destinations, they like just became hungry for all this knowledge.
Absolutely.
And this tradition, they became addicted to it, basically. The Muslim ummah, the scholars, the people, they became addicted to traveling for the sake of knowledge. So thank you for that. So how is it, we've understood this concept, so how is it that we today, with these journeys that we are taking, are trying to keep up that legacy or revive that legacy?
By simply talking about it, by bringing people to the ground. Okay, let them see Al-Andalus. For example, Qartaba Masjid, when people walk into Cordoba Mosque and they see the expansions, when we explain the expansions sequentially, that those expansions took place sequentially. First building was initiated by, the first part rather was initiated by Abdurrahman I, and then there's an expansion by Abdurrahman II, then there is a larger expansion by Hakam II, and then the final one by Ibn Abi Amir, also known as Al-Mansur. So when people are taken step by step, showing them how this masjid developed over time, and lessons and the hard work, and the scholars who walked through those arches, Ibn Hazm, Imam Qurtubi, Ibn Abdul Barr, Imam Ibn Rushd, okay, Baqi bin Makhlat, the names, you know, students, direct students of Imam Malik, for example, right? They were walking through those arches that stand to this day. Is no short of a miracle. So this is how we inspire people, bring them on the ground, let them see, we explain history as much as we can. We're not going to make them PhD doctors.
No, of
right?
course not, but at least we're trying to revive that tradition that was there once, where the Muslims were traveling for the sake of knowledge. The Western concept, as we know, a lot of people do this, they just come for the sake of, you know, ticking it off a bucket list. Going, visiting a site, taking photos, and been there, done that, got the t-shirts.
Be awestruck by the beauty, the aesthetics, and without any appreciation of history, they go back.
And like, you know, not getting the context, not getting the lessons that you need to take from that. So that's what we're trying to do with, and that was the intention right from the beginning when we first started that. That's what we want to do. We don't just want to be a travel agency. There's plenty of travel agencies. There's plenty of people who you can go to, and they will bring you and they will take you to these sites, and you will leave, and okay, great. But we don't want to do that, and that's what we are trying to revive with the journeys that we take. But tell me something, isn't it enough just to read a book, watch a video? Why do you feel that they physically need to travel?
Books don't talk to you. Books don't talk to you. Books do give you a lot of information, but these monuments talk to you. They tell you the story you don't know. A book cannot explain who walked through those arches. Okay, it can tell you the story, right? But when you actually stand in front of a pillar carved by a Muslim called, let's say, Masood, you see, we see the names.
Quite famous in Masjid Qurtuba.
Yeah, exactly. Masood or Nasr, for example. We saw the names carved on the pillars, people who actually carved these pillars and made them. And some of them have the word Lillah written on them, just for the sake of Allah. Person doesn't want to mention their name. So monuments talk to you. When you come on the ground, when you stand there and you hear the history, you feel as if you go back in time. You are standing there with those people, actually experiencing it. So a book doesn't give you that. A movie doesn't give you that. A movie can give you some glimpse into it, but the real story and the feeling, the tangible feeling that you need to appreciate history, it has to be on the ground.
Yeah, it's the impact it has. That's what I've experienced over the years, and this is why we do what we do, is that the physical journey itself, the impact it has on an individual is just phenomenal.
Yes.
And, as I mentioned, that the bulk of our work is youth work, young Muslims from around the world. And we've had their teachers and we've had the youth workers come back to us and say, we've been working with these youth 3-4 years. And the impact this 1 week has had on them is absolutely phenomenal. It completely transformed them. And it's, as you mentioned, like, reading a book or watching a movie, yes, it has its benefits, but to come and visit places which are actually tangible, you actually see them, you can touch them, you can feel them, you hear the stories, you have good guides who tell you the history.
Going to the mountains, going to Al-Puhara mountains and looking at what Muslims might have gone through fighting back for their freedom and for their rights, right? So when you stand in the middle of those mountains and look at those rocks and those hills and the castle, Land Haran, when you look at that castle and see where the Muslims made the last stand, there is nothing like it. A book cannot give you that feeling. A movie or documentary cannot give you that feeling. Even watching the purpose of this podcast is to inspire people to actually come to the ground. Even this podcast cannot do justice to those monuments and those remains.
It moves you in a different way.
Absolutely.
It completely moves you in a different way. So, okay, we've understood that. How does a tour like this, or the journey that we take, or that we're trying to bring people on, how does it embody the prophetic tradition of seeking knowledge? How does it embody that?
Well, this is exactly following the prophetic tradition by traveling for the sake of seeking knowledge. You're not just coming here as a tourist to enjoy the food and walk around looking at these old buildings.
Which is all part of it as well, though.
It is. No. I mean, people do that for that reason.
Yeah.
As Muslims, I'm saying, we have greater reasons. We have more noble reasons to come here. And we get reward. We get reward for every footstep, every hardship, because in the summer...
If the intention is made.
Absolutely. Yes. If the intention is correct, that we are coming here for the sake of knowledge, for the sake of seeking knowledge, then every step you take, every footstep you take, it is rewarded by Allah, because there is heat, there is cold, depending on what time you
visit.
Long journeys, bus journeys, and then, so in this hardship, there is reward in every single footstep. You are like a talibul ilm, okay? And the Prophet ﷺ said, talabul ilm faridatun ala kulli Muslim, that seeking knowledge is obligatory upon all Muslims, and this is one of those fulfillments.
SubhanAllah. Excellent. Jazakallah khair. It's been excellent talking to you again,
pleasure.
And we'll continue with the series, inshallah.
So until the next episode, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.